Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video assumes that you have already seen the previous video which showcases me playing the right hand of this section together with the piano score. You can slow down that video and practice with it until you have mastered it. So if you haven't mastered the right hand yet, you can check out that video first. For now, we will be looking at the main addition to this section, which is the left hand. At this level, we only want to be focusing on playing octaves to keep it simple. And these octaves are essentially just the root note of the chord. So if I am playing F major, I'll just play the lower F and the higher F. So for example, let's have a look at the score. You see it right here. So if I'm playing the F major, I'll be playing this lower F with my pinky and the upper F with my thumb. And that goes for all of the rest of the chords. I'll be using both my pinky and my thumb to play this section. Now you can see how a lot of these chords actually have quite a bit of jump between them. For example, the E to the A is about a fourth apart. And then we have this C all the way down to this D, which is actually at least 7 notes apart. And then right at the end over here, we have this A going down to an A, which is an octave lower than the previous A. So this is going to be at least 8 notes apart. This can feel quite difficult if you're a beginner, but it's good to learn so that you can get used to playing left-hand accompaniments at a fast speed, jumping between chord to chord. As usual, you'll want to take it slow and practice doing this at a speed that you can manage. Your hands should keep the same shape, and you'll want to aim to press the thumb and pinky down at the same time to produce a good octave sound that's in unison. So other than the physical aspect of this section where you want to work on using your pinky and your thumb to jump from chord to chord, you also want to understand the chord progression that's being used. Remember that the chord number is essentially the interval between the root note of the chord and the key. So the root note of the chord, for example, this is F major chord. The root note will be simply F. So we are currently in C major, and all we have to do to know the chord number of this chord is to count up from C to the root note of the chord, which is F. Right, so let's just practice and count together. Okay, so let's count together from C to F. C would be 1, D would be 2, E would be 3, and F would be 4. So this is chord 4. So all of these chords over here are labeled by their root note, and all of them are in their root position. So that makes things very easy for us to practice figuring out the chord number. So for example, the chord number for this chord over here would be C, D, E. So it's a 3. And 3 is a minor chord. So that's why I have it in small letters. So these are all in Roman numerals, which is the custom when you are writing chord numbers for piano music. Alright, so A would be C, D, E, F, G, A, which is the 6, and that is also a minor chord. Right, and obviously C would be the 1. So I'm going to fill up the rest. Okay, and then I've got a D, which is 2. So as you can see, this second section pretty much repeats the chord progression with some small changes. Alright. So here's the entire piano sheet music with the chord numbers notated, and you can study the chord progression if you want. So understanding the chord progression actually gives you an intuitive understanding of what chords produce what emotional effect when they are arranged in sequence. Now, the power of knowing your chord numbers is also that you can improvise the left hand any way you want it, the moment you know what the chord is. In future, we'll be adding things like different voicings, for instance, starting on the third or the fifth note instead of the root, and even embellishments like adding sevenths, which is very common in Japanese pop music. And all of this built on top of the basic chord number. The second benefit is that knowing the chord numbers also lets you play in a different key. For instance, if the other instrumentalists or singers are more comfortable in a different key, you can switch more easily. Anyway, for now, I'll show you the video of me playing just the left hand. You can loop the next section at a slower speed to practice first until you have mastered the sound quality and then the speed. So then you'll raise up the speed to give yourself a bit more of a challenge. If you're a beginner, you may aim to play at around 75% speed because this song is extremely fast. So if you're only using a metronome to practice, 75% of 166 BPM, which is the tempo of this song, is around 125 BPM. So you can use that tempo marking as a goal. For intermediate players, you can aim to play at 100% speed and even try to memorize the left hand completely. Playing from memory helps you with the next part, which is to add in the right hand. Anyhow, without further ado, here's the left hand only video. Okay, so now that your left hand is done, let's work on putting it all together. So you see over here, this is the entire score of what happens when you put the right hand on top of the left hand. The right hand also has the fingering on top of the note, and below the note we have the actual note letters. Under the left hand we have the notes for the left hand, and because both the bottom note and the top note are the same, I did not repeat the notation. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's talk about putting them together and practicing. So I assume that you have already learned the right hand separately and the left hand separately. Now putting it together might actually be challenging depending on your skill level. So if you're a beginner to intermediate, what you might want to do is to just select a number of bars that would work for you. So if you are pretty advanced, it could be as much as the entire piece. But if you're just starting out, it could be as little as even just half of the bar, right? In general, I find that 1 to 2 bars like this kind of works pretty well because you can focus on the coordination while still having enough melody for the musical context. Now, what you want to do is to pay attention to yourself when you are practicing. If you are feeling frustrated, then you might have bitten off more than you could chew, and you should just reduce it. Maybe instead of 2 bars, you try 1 bar first. Now if you're feeling really bored with your practice, you're getting it too quickly, maybe you would want to add more. Instead of 2 bars, you can try 4 bars. So play slowly but with heart. Feel and listen to what you are playing. This piece is very exciting. So even while you're practicing this section, do not neglect to convey the exciting emotions of this particular song. You're going to practice not just for the accuracy and speed, but also for the emotionality. Now, once that part is good, slowly move forward, adding 1 section at a time, and learn the entire piece in this patient and attentive manner. So with all my 10 years of experience in teaching music, I feel that this is the fastest way to learn anything while retaining your interest in that piece of music and that attention towards musicality rather than just accuracy. So on a more technical note, whenever you're putting the 2 hands together, make sure that both hands sync up very nicely at the correct parts. For example, take note of all of these quarter note sections over here. You want to make sure that you're playing all 3 notes together and they sync down very nicely. So you're going to let all of these be your anchor point to make sure that both hands are nicely aligned together, and when they come down, they're producing one single sound. This is especially true when there's a lot of movement throughout. You still want to make sure that you are aligning your hands together very nicely. Now, when you are practicing, first combine both the right hand and the left hand together. Right? Go section by section. Remember, we talked about this earlier. It depends on the skill level, how large your section is. And then once you have finished your section, go to the next section and then link them back to the previous section. So the linkage will also need some practice. For example, if you're practicing these 2 bars, followed by the next 2 bars, when you link them together, don't forget to work on this second bar and the third bar as well. A lot of students miss this out and they get really frustrated when they can't put it together and they're expecting to play perfectly on the first round through. Don't forget, it takes quite a bit of time, and if you're still feeling too frustrated, it might be a bit too much. You would want to reduce your section and be very patient while you're learning this through. So once you got accuracy, the last step is to speed it up. So you want to make sure they can play the entire piece at a fairly slow speed first. And then after that, you speed it up slowly, bit by bit, until you reach your target tempo. Of course, the other way to practice is just to make sure that each small part is perfect first. So you play it at a slow speed without mistakes, and then you slowly ramp up the speed, and then you keep adding on section by section until you can play everything perfectly in this way. So this is really up to taste, but the key principle is you want to practice the correct thing rather than practice the wrong thing. So if you cannot play it correctly, just slow it down first or reduce the amount of things that you are actually working on. And that's very important when you're practicing. And without further ado, here's the practice video for you to watch and play together. I hope you have found this video helpful and that you now have a lot of material to go practice. In the next video, I will probably show you how to add in some embellishments on the left hand to make this piece even more exciting and fun to play. So in the meantime, like and subscribe, every little bit helps. See you and keep practicing.